He shoots! Oh! Romaine Mundle! Preston North End! Well, that's what you get!
Exactly, I was going to say play as much as you like. And that's how you answer them.
Hello and welcome to Black Cats Chat, the international fans podcast for Sunderland FC. My name is Lee Thirkell. I'm from the Bilbao Black Cats, and tonight I'm joined by our German regular. We've got Ian McNee. He's in Wuppertal, Germany. Ian, guten Abend, mate. How are you?
All right, Lee. I'm all the best, Mara. No problems whatsoever. Well, after last night, I'm a bit disappointed, but life goes on, you know.
Well, it's the Sunderland way, isn't it? It's the Sunderland way. Yes, right. And we've also got a new debutant of the podcast. Delighted to have Jody Linskill from the SAFC NASA branch. Jody, you are in Salt Lake City in Utah. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir. Yes.
Right. Well, welcome to the podcast, mate. Delighted to have you on.
Here,
Okay, right. So last night then, the lads got a late equaliser, 1-1 against Preston. It was one of those typical results where we fell behind. And, well, it took a bit of Romaine Mundle magic to get us the point. But before we get into that, we're going to go with Jody. Jody, when we have a new guest on, we always like them to tell their Sunderland story. So, could you tell us your Sunderland story, mate, please?
Sure. Yeah, no worries. So, I tell everybody, and I was mentioning this to you before, Lee, that when people ask me where I'm from, I say North Sunderland, but I was born in black and white territory, unfortunately, in deepest, darkest Jesmond. All my family are from Sunderland. My grandpa was at the 1937 and 1973 Cup final. My dad had his first season ticket in 1950. I moved down to the south of England when I was about 5 years old, and had a season ticket from when I was about sort of 14, 15, when the Stadium of Light first opened. And I used to fly it with my brother every week. My brother, especially growing up amongst our sort of black and white friends, he made sure, often through violence, that I was going to be a Sunderland fan. He wouldn't allow me to be influenced by those around me.
Yeah. And how long have you been living out there then for? And how easy is it to watch the games? Do you have any other Sunderland fans around you?
Yeah, so I've been in Salt Lake for 6 years. I met a few girls in Vegas, came to stay with them in Salt Lake to do some snowboarding. Met a girl from Utah, ended up getting married back in 2017, and came out here in 2019. So been out here 6 years. There's quite a few Sunderland fans. I've converted my father-in-law into a Sunderland fan, and some of my family. But there's one of my best mates out here, a guy called Glenn. He's from Shields, huge Sunderland fan as well. So we get to watch the game, me and Glenn, every week. And there's other people, again, my father-in-law, and a couple of people who have been converted by things like Sunderland till I die and stuff like that. So there's about 5 or 6 of us here. So it's good fun.
And how often do you get back? When was the last time you were back? And are you planning any other trips to the Stadium of Light or England to watch a match?
Yeah, the last time I was back was the playoff final, which was a good time to be back. Easily the best day of my life. Went back with Glenn, so that was pretty awesome. Don't get back as much as I'd like. Flights are pretty expensive. I'm going back in September for my dad's 90th birthday. He's old as the hills, and don't often get to the Stadium of Light. My parents live down south now, so it's kind of hard to go down and see all my family. Most of my family have moved down from the northeast, so it's kind of hard to get back. I think last time I went to the Stadium of Light, I took my wife there for the first time. She got to experience Sunderland, lucky girl. That was when we beat Sheffield Wednesday 5-0 under Lee, what's his name? Can't remember his name now.
Lee Johnson.
Lee Johnson, thank you. And we went top, and then he was sacked like 2 games later.
Yeah, I remember that well. Yeah. And in terms of your all-time favourite Sunderland player, who would that be?
Kevin Ball.
Yeah.
No questions asked. Love Kevin Ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of player that I always love. That sort of run through a brick wall, no nonsense, knee-high sliding tackles, give absolutely everything. And I kind of think like the only player who's been like that is really like Luke O'Nien. Lee Cattermole had a little bit of it, but just somebody who just loves Sunderland and who isn't from Sunderland, which I think makes him a little bit more special as well, because he's just got no affinity for the club previously, but all of a sudden he's just Mr. Sunderland, just as Kevin Ball was. So yeah, I love Kevin Ball. I remember shaking his hand as like a 14-year-old on some crappy away match in the middle of the night when it was pissing down with rain, and him breaking my hand, hardest handshake the world has ever seen. And after that, I'm like, this man's a god.
Yeah, we could do with a few more Kevin Balls and Cattermoles and
Love
O'Niens.
Ball.
And Trey Hume as well is one for me that he gets the crowd going with those tackles. I think we need some more tackles like that.
Yeah, that's it. I'm a child of the 80s and 90s, and my brand of football I love is 80s and 90s football, and they are Trey Hume. He's an 80s and 90s footballer.
Yeah.
He's got some skills as well, but he's just got that something that modern footballers just don't seem to have, and I think Luke O'Nien's got that as well.
Yep. All right, Jody, thanks a lot for that, mate. Brilliant. Right then, Ian, last night, I know you're dying to get in here. Sunderland 1, Preston 1. We'll start with the lineup. So there was Watson, Isidore and Serkin came in for Brown, Mundle and Hjelde. He went 4-4-2 because there's been a lot of chomping at the bit for it from the fan base. He went for it, and it seemed to backfire, didn't it?
Yeah, it did to a certain extent. I mean, everybody's been crying for my end and Isidore to be up front together. I mean, they did against Sheffield United, and that's how we won the game. We took them apart. They couldn't live with the speed of the two of them. So there's no real reason why it shouldn't have happened again. I would say maybe he made one change too many. I wouldn't have put Tommy Watson on from the start. Mundle in, and maybe brought Tommy on after an hour like he did last night, swapping them over, because I think Mundle would have been a lot more effective. Tommy just wasn't up to it last night. His touches were poor. It also left us light in midfield, and Job and Neil had the poorest games that they've had for a long time last night. Also, were struggling. They weren't getting much help from Roberts or from Tommy Watson in midfield, and they were having to play against 4 Preston midfield players on their own, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I wanted the two of them playing up front, but I think they could have been given a bit more support. In as much as you've got Mundle on knocking the balls in for them, Roberts last night. He struggled to beat a carpet last night. I mean, it's a great play. He could maybe still with a few more goals, and sometimes he runs around in circles. But we don't have an alternative right winger, so it's got to be Roberts. And Roberts didn't really disgrace himself last night at all.
No.
But even when the crosses were coming in, you saw. The cross from there was 2 crosses came in from Trey, one on the far post, where Tommy Watson. I mean, he's obviously not a header of a ball; he's a winger.
Yeah,
he couldn't get anything on it. And then the other one into Wilson, Isidore on the front post.
Yeah.
He proved himself once again not to be a header of a ball.
Yep.
He can score 30-yard screamers,
Yep.
but tappings, no, he doesn't do tappings.
No, doesn't do the tappings. No, yeah, and that's made some good points there as well, yeah. Jody, you mentioned there Tommy Watson, and I was surprised that he actually started the game because he's just come back from injury.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that Lebris has got this recurring comment in his interviews where he says the players, if they have a connection with the team, they will play. And for me, Tommy Watson, doesn't have that connection with the team yet because he's had a couple of good games, fair enough, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's on the same wavelength as the rest of the team and the style we play. I mean, last night, he just didn't know what he was doing. No. So I agree with Ian that I think that he shouldn't be starting games. He would be used for the last 20 minutes when the game is stretched and he's got space because I think Mundle has a better understanding from watching Jack Clark last season and all that. he's got a better understanding of how we want to play. And I think that the way he started the season demonstrates that. So were you a little bit surprised that Tommy got the nod ahead of Mundle?
I wasn't necessarily surprised because I know they're both coming back from injury and they want to do a bit of job sharing. I agree with you. I would have started with Mundle. I think Mundle is probably a year ahead of where Tommy Watson is now. Mundle, as he said, was understudy to Jack Clark. Didn't get a huge amount of game time, obviously, because Jack Clark was the man. But got to sit on the bench and got to watch him. But when he did come on initially, Mundle looked a lot like Tommy Watson did last night or yesterday. That connection wasn't there. Just wasn't quite fit. Wasn't quite in the swing of things. And don't get me wrong, I think if Tommy Watson had stayed fit and not got injured, he would be a hell of a player now. I just think he's a bit behind Mundle, coming back from injury, because he's a bit younger and a bit less experienced, perhaps will take a little bit longer. So I would have started with Mundle and brought Tommy on for the last 15, 20 minutes. And you can just see how keen and eager and direct and confident Mundle was when he came on. He was, I mean, he literally was the game changer. But that's what we lacked, is just that driving force, which I think we've lacked for quite a while, because the Fee is great, obviously injured, but not a left winger. Roberts on the right. Roberts is just he's such an enigma. I don't get Patrick Roberts. He's got every single tool to make himself just a brilliant player. He's just that end product, holding onto the ball. There's just something intangible that's not quite there. So he's not direct enough. Whereas you give that ball to Mundle and he'll do what he did, which is come on, drive, get the ball, beat a player, and worldie in the top corner. So I would have started with him, and I think we would have probably had more of a chance of winning the game if Watson and Mundle were reversed in terms of their time on the pitch.
Well, I mean, Ian, I think in the second half, what we're crying out for after 60, 70 minutes is more energy. And I think if you have Riggan, Watson on the bench, I'd say that's the time to bring them on, because 16 or 17, 18-year-old lads, they're going to give you that energy, and the game is stretched. And I think that's what we're lacking. And I think Rigg, when he came on last night, he had a bit of energy about him. He had a bit about him. So, I don't know. Do you think that Watson and Rigg need to be used from the bench from now and between the end of the season? Give them the 20 minutes for the rest of the season, every match?
I would definitely say so with Watson. Rigg went through a trough the last 4 or 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. When he came on last night, he made a difference. He bigged things up a bit. You could see the team reacting to him, starting to move a bit quicker. And I thought that Rigg did very well. By the way, I would have brought Rigg on for Roberts last night. Yeah. I would have left him at the end of run.
Yeah.
I would have left the two of them up front and see if Rigg, having come into midfield, come in a bit from the right, if he would have shaken things up a bit more, and the service would have got better up front. I mean, Wilson Isidore yesterday, he looked a bit off the pace, to tell you the truth.
Kept falling over.
Yeah. I mean, Jody mentioned earlier about Roberts being an enigma. Wilson's an enigma as well, because, as I said before, he scores brilliant goals. Give him a simple tapping and he falls over the ball. Mm-hmm. Definitely bring Tommy Watson. Don't start Tommy Watson. Bring him on, because he can't shake things up. Rigg, I think eventually, depending how long it takes to get the fee back. When the fee comes back, I think he'll be set in midfield, and Rigg will be coming on from the bench. But until that time, now that Rigg's had a bit of a rest, he might well start against Coventry on Saturday. I suspect he will, because hopefully Labrie has seen how lightweight we were in midfield, and I suspect that over the last few weeks, especially last night, Frank Lampard will have taken notice of that, and he'll look to use that to his advantage on Saturday against Coventry Bloody City, the team I hate most in the world.
And we haven't got a very good record at their place recently. So, Jody, I mean, when I see a midfield three of Neil, Job, and Rig, I just don't see enough creativity in there. I see like three players that are technically very neat and tidy, and they've got very good engines, but I just don't see, like, for example, we saw with Lefebvre, as soon as he came in, he was like on the left wing, but he was like playing passes with the outside of his foot, putting Isidore through on goal, passes like behind, and I just don't think you get that with Neil, Job, or Rig. So I think that a lot of our obviously attacking prowess does come from Robertson and Mundle from the wings. So, I mean, I would like to stick with the 4-4-2, but yesterday I thought Mayenda was like, he was playing rather than just behind this door, he was playing side by side. Yeah. And I think that against Sheffield United, and when you mentioned before, he was playing in a deeper role. He was kind of behind as a kind of like inverted forward sort of thing, you know? So I think that could work, but if you play the two of them just up front side by side, it doesn't work. So what would you do going forward, Jody? Would you stick with the 4-4-2 and Mayenda, or do you think that last night the two in midfield just didn't work? They got overran, no control.
Yeah. A bit of all of the above, really. You know, it's worked once before, but when it did work, as you say, Mayenda dropped off a little bit. And Mayenda's a striker, but we know we can play on the right wing. He's fairly direct and effective there. He played well against Sheffield United, playing a little bit further back. Wilson just looked isolated, to be honest. And I think, you know, when we're playing 4-4-2, as you say, with those three fairly similar, tidy, really good midfielders, I don't think there's enough variation there. It's a crying shame that Fee got injured, because he was starting to look good on the left. But man, if he looked that good on the left after only having played there a couple of times, put him in his proper position, which is, you know, like this sort of Pritchard number 10 type thing.
Ahmad,
Yeah, that type of thing. Just give him almost a free rein, just to roam anywhere in front of Job and Neil and behind the strikers. The kid's special. He is probably the best player in the league, but we don't have that option right now. So Coventry scare me only because I hate Coventry, and they always do one over us. They have for 20 years. I probably wouldn't go back to 4-4-2. Yeah, I would drop. I'd play maybe the three that you mentioned in midfield. Roberts is always going to be first on the team sheet, but he does tend to sort of like drop him every other week. And I don't know whether that's a fitness thing, because Roberts always looks like he's blowing out his arse after about 20 minutes. So maybe play Mayenda on the right against Coventry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah.
If I just interject there, Lee, going back to the midfield, I'd just like to mention something which I've noticed. I don't know whether it's just me, my mind playing tricks with me, so old as I am. But my impression is that Job has been treading on eggshells for the last four matches. Mm-hmm. He was on 9 yellows.
Yeah. And
having got past last night, his yellows have all now been written off. I think he can play at the end of the season now. Unless he gets sent off, he's not going to be suspended. Mm-hmm. I only hope that takes whatever shackles off him. Possibly, it's been in his mind. I don't think he's been told to play a bit defensively, not defensively, but don't go jumping in at tackles or anything like that, which he's got yellow cards for in the past.
Yeah. Well, he got the red, didn't he? QPR, didn't he?
I think he's been holding back himself rather than being told to hold back. Mm-hmm. Now that he's got past it, he's got over that hurdle, I hope that he can start moving on, because, as I say, last night, both he and Dan Neil had poor games for them. I've seen them play a hell of a lot better than they did last night.
I actually, now you said that, I agree with that. The aggressive nature of Job is a big part of his game. I mean, that's why he's been sent off once, and that's why he ended up with 9 yellow cards. You know, it is one of his real attributes, and he hasn't. I don't think he's been bad the last sort of 3 games or so when he's been on 9, but he's definitely been like a 6 or 7 instead of a 7 or 8, really, you know. And I think that piece that he's been missing, that thing that he's been lacking, is that aggression, which I think is really great. He can really win the ball back. So yeah, that I hadn't thought of it like that. So that's a good point.
Yeah,
and hopefully that does make a difference, because we'll need that against Coventry.
right. And another point on Job and Neil, to both of you, is that have any of them ever been subbed off this season when they've played? Because
No.
I was thinking about this last night. I don't think so. Neil has played every time he's been available, and he's played 90 minutes.
yeah.
And I'm sure that Job has as well. I can't remember Job ever having been subbed this year. I mean, last year he was knackered. I mean, he was on his knees towards the end of the season, but he was still getting played.
Mm-hmm.
This year is a different, first of all, statue-wise, completely different. He's been in the gym all summer, the same as Patterson has. Patterson's put on a bit of weight, but it's predominantly muscle, which we might come back onto later. As an ex-goalkeeper myself, if you're a big bugger like I am, you use your weight.
Yeah.
Nobody gets in your way. It's going back to the Burnley game. Patterson should have flattened Roberts. Roberts got in his way at the front post. Patterson let the ball through his hands. Patterson should have gone through Roberts. Against Cardiff, he should have gone through that centre forward. It could have been a free kick because the centre forward had his hand up. The referee didn't see it. He should have gone through the centre forward. He should be using his weight now that he's got it.
Yeah.
Got to learn that.
Yeah. No,
also, as a keeper, he's got to open his goal. That's the one thing I've got against Patterson.
Yeah.
Doesn't show it. It's a one.
He's completely emotionless, isn't he? He's got one expression. And he doesn't say anything. He never shows any emotion.
And he just doesn't say anything. You know.
Yeah. No. They're all valid points. But going back then to that point about Job and Neil, I mean, should like Lebris maybe just like bite the bullet and just say, listen, if we need a bit more energy in midfield, take one of Job or Neil off and stick, say, Alexic on, or stick Rig on.
Yeah,
because I think we do lack that energy sometimes in the second half, that urgency, and I don't think. I think we need something different because I get
that. I think Job is one hell of a player. I really like Neil, although my mate Glenn is president and queen of the I Hate Dan Neil fan club. He's really not. He does not like Dan Neil, and every mistake he traces back to like a mistake that Neil made like 20 minutes ago. But anyway,
I've got mates like that as well, Jody.
Jeez, right. That's me father.
Is it okay? Well, everyone's got a mate who hates Dan Neil. But I think we're a better team with them in. I would not be dropping either of those two.
Not dropping them, but taking them out if 70 minutes or something like that.
They are kind of like the linchpins of our team. Everything is kind of built around them. So taking them off really changes the whole aspect of the team and the feeling of the team. And I'm not sure Lebris wants to do that. I think that's too much of a. I'm not sure. I might do it, but I don't think Regis would do that
because he's looking for consistency. His key word is consistency.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe he'll start thinking about it if performances are similar to how they've been the past probably 3 weeks. But as you said, you know, if the shackles come off Job and he ups his game back to where it was before he started to rein things back a little bit, then I think that energy might be there because he does have that energy. I just think he's been shackled. Saying that, he's probably going to get sent off and banned for 3 matches anyway, so it would have been a waste of time. But you know, that's me jinxing everything. No, I wouldn't be. I'd be keeping with them. I wouldn't be taking them off. I think they are
not just one, not both of them, just one.
No, just one.
No, not even one.
So when Neil plays, maybe Brown can play there, and maybe this is something that he's thinking of. And now Brown's getting game time under his belt. I mean, Brown was out for a long time, so he needs to get back into it. He's played one full game now, has he? Did he last the whole game?
I think he got taken off, didn't he, in that game?
I think he got taken off. So and he even prior to that, before he got injured, he didn't always last the whole game. So he's the one that I would because he's a safe pair of hands for me. As long as he's fit enough, I would consider, if Neil is having a 6 out of 10 game, maybe taking him off. I just think Job is a Rolls Royce of a player. So unless Job's having a bad game, he stays on the pitch for me. Neil can be a little bit frustrating. It's very much sort of Bracewell, sort of sideways and backwards passes at times. He can be a bit of a liability if he's not on form. He is likely to lose the ball in a really silly place and sometimes gives away silly free kicks as well. So based on how he's playing at that time, I would be okay taking him off for Brown, but Job stays on. I love Job. I'm a full-on Job fanboy.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair enough. All right, and Ian, so as we played 4-4-2 last night, then we saw a bit more directness in our play. But we were playing long balls, but we were just playing like hopeful long balls, weren't they? Really, there wasn't really any kind of direction with them. You're thinking if you're going to play 2 up front, you want the 2 forwards to kind of run the channels, no? But I thought our build-up play was quite slow, and it ended up just being like with a hoof ball up front and away from Isidore and Mayenda. Did you notice that?
Yeah, as you say, the build-up play wasn't quite slow. It was very slow. I mean, I read a comment today from Sobs. Do you know Sobs, who writes?
Yeah, ALS. Yeah.
Paul Dobson, I know him personally. And he said that it's not a good sign when straight from the kickoff you kick the ball straight back to the keeper.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just not on. You want to start off on the front foot. Strangely enough, the one person who was using any urgency last night, who hasn't done so all season, was Anthony Patterson. As soon as he was getting the ball, he was rolling it out straight away to either a 9 or Meffin, who then stood on the ball, turned round, gave it back to Patterson, passed it across the back, maybe put it out to Trey or to Dennis Serkin in the hope that it would get up the field, instead of letting the ball get further up the pitch. You know, as I said, Patterson's obviously been told to get rid of the ball early and try and put a bit of urgency in it, but nobody's told the defence to do that. You know, it was a very strange game last night. We were flat. The stadium was flat. The crowd was flat. Apart from the last 15 minutes, which we'll obviously get onto that a bit later. I mean, people are talking about tiredness and everything. Okay, I don't think it's physical tiredness. It might be mental tiredness. And it seems to me that at the back of their minds, they've settled for the playoffs and they don't want to tear their asses out.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah. No, and you made a good point there, about the atmosphere. I mean, it dawned on me, like, just before, 15 minutes, and, like, I was listening to Frankie and Danny speaking, and I was thinking, like, this is, like, it's like a funeral.
Yeah.
And it took us, in the 8th, 9th minute when Preston did all that time wasting to get our asses in gear. And even Danny Collins pointed out on commentary saying, like, oh, there we go, there's the fans. And I don't know what it is, Jody, because I remember, like, being at the stadium, like, in the late 90s. I was a season ticket holder with my dad there, like, during the Peter Reid days. The place was bouncing and rocking, midweek, weekends. So I don't know. Is it just like, I don't know, newer generations, modern fans, or is it just like, is it just us? Is it other clubs? I don't know.
Well, the above again. I've used that phrase for the second time, but yeah, people nowadays they like sort of instant gratification and stuff like that. So if things aren't going well, that's it. They check out a little bit. But there's been so much water under the bridge since the 90s. We've had some good times, but we've had a lot of crap. So I think we're a little bit more fickle. But I think all fans are like that. I think that's just modern fandom. You know, Gen Z, millennials are a different breed to, I'm 46 and, I watched Sunderland in the late 80s and 90s and it was bouncing at Roker Park in the full end and the stadium I like the first 10 years, but people are different now. So they expect this sort of entertainment. And, when it comes to last night, we were flat as a pancake. So I can sort of understand why the atmosphere wasn't great. They didn't have a lot to shout about. But I just think that's the modern game now. I don't think we're gonna see the atmospheres that we saw, 20, 30 years ago. I just don't think that happens many places.
I think. Do you think, Ian, it could also be like the standing? Like if you're standing, you get more of a vibe to chant. Maybe the introduction of more safe standing could help that.
There is a certain amount of that involved, but I mean, we've had safe standing now this season.
Yeah.
Okay, last night, the last 15 minutes, that's how the stadium lights can be.
Mm-hmm.
But what you've got to consider is, since the days of Peter Reid and Kevin Phillips and Niall Quinn and what have you, we've had a hell of a lot of shit thrown at us over the last 20 years. And it's made us very sceptical. Even this season, when we set off like a train, everybody was waiting for us to fall. And we did to a certain extent. I mean, we were top of the league, and then we started drawing all of a sudden instead of winning. We changed the tactics. This is a hobby horse of mine, has been all season or since it happened. This new Portuguese co-trainer that's come in. Since he's come in, I think that we've gone backwards a bit. Don't know whether it's his tactics that they've been adopted by Labrie to be conservative, hold on to what you've got, but we can't. We can't hold on to a lead. We've proved that time and time again. And that's affecting the crowd. And the crowd now are waiting for something to happen. They're waiting for us to hammer somebody 4 or 5-0. That's when you get the crowd shouting.
Yeah, or a tough tackle, you know what I mean, something like that. But we don't even do that now.
The tackle will always go something crowd up, but you can't tackle your way through 90 minutes. You've got to start playing decent football as well.
I mean, we haven't. When was the last time we hammered someone? When was the last time we just put a real show?
I mean, in my opinion, the best performance I've seen us play was probably Oxford at home.
Oxford. Exactly.
2-0. For me, that was like a flawless performance from start to finish. It was controlled, and we didn't need to do anything else.
No.
I think that was back at the end of October.
Yeah. So we've eked 1-0, 2-1 wins, draws. We're in a really good position. We actually haven't had a great season from a footballing perspective. We've been good. We haven't been great. And I think people are starting to sort of not get tired of it, but they're just waiting for us to come alive. And it kind of just hasn't happened yet. So it's just kind of chipping away at the atmosphere a little bit. Last minute goals conceded, things like that. People are a little bit frustrated. So I can sort of see why. But yeah, I think maybe that's part of the problem. I think if we could really hammer somebody, and I keep thinking when we play these crap teams like Preston and Cardiff and stuff, I'm like, this is it. We're going to hammer them, and then it's like a 6 out of 10 performance across the park. So if we have a real good performance, I think that'll G people up a little bit and remind people how much fun it can be when things are going really well, and they are going well for us in the league-ish. But I just think we just need something to really get us going. I don't know whether that's going to happen, but I think if it did, I think you'd see atmospheres change.
Yeah.
I think it might be because of the season going into one game, and that was the Coventry game. We hammered Coventry in the first half. In the second half, we fell apart. And that's what we've been doing all the time. We play brilliant football, but then all of a sudden we switch off. And it's difficult to put a finger on why. And as you say as well, Jody, it's getting to the crowd. The crowd I'm getting pissed off with it, and I'm not even in the stadium.
But But I mean, listen, we
I
are.
feel it's. I shout the bloody TV, but they're not going to hear that on the touchline in the stadium. You know,
Do you shout in German at the TV or in English?
both. I can abuse anybody bilingually.
No,
Swearing
it's
in
just
German sounds better in German. It sounds
yeah.
really like, yeah, whoa, okay.
But nah, I just think, listen, with like 40,000 in the stadium, I mean, they said 37,000, but it's probably a bit less last night. I would just expect a bit more noise, given the situation that we're in this year. We're fourth position after last year. There should be a lot of optimism, and I think
Yeah.
that the crowd can be the 12th man.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be the 12th man. You know what I mean? So I would love to see us get back to those old days. But anyway, listen, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back for part 2, and we'll discuss some more of the action and look forward to this weekend against Coventry. See you soon.
Hi, my name is Gianmarco. I'm from Italy. I've been supporting Sunderland since 2010. How are the lads?
Welcome back for part 2. Right, let's get into more of that first half. I mean, we had some good chances, didn't we, Ian, in that first half? Mayenda had a good chance where I thought it would have been a better option to pass to Isidore because he was wide open, but he decided to go himself. It was good play from Job. We had an overlap from Sirkin on 33 minutes. He crossed into the box, and guess what? There was no one there. Isidore had a shot across goal in the 34th minute. So we had like a 2-minute period where we had a couple of chances. And then obviously on 40 minutes, we had that Isidore dreadful missed header, which it was just dying to get put in the back of the net, wasn't it, Ian?
Yeah, I think I could have put that one away, and I'm bloody clever. I mean, he's proved time and time again that he's not a header of a ball. I think if I was the trainer, I would be having them out doing extra heading practice. But I suppose it's born into you. Yeah, we had chances, but we never troubled the goal. Their keeper had as little to do with Patterson.
2 shots on target.
In the entire game, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's good that we're making chances. It's bad that we're not putting them away. But that's been the story of our life this year. Yep. We could have scored a hell of a lot more goals this year.
Yep. Anyway, Jody, the second half then, what kind of struck me a lot was that our players seemed to be standing around a lot, especially when it came to second balls. It's just like they just froze. And all of a sudden, when the ball bounced, they got into action. It was I don't know, it just looked a bit slow. I don't know if you noticed that as well. The reaction of the players.
After a disappointing first half, and we've had quite a few disappointing first halves in probably the past a couple of months. In half time, I always want them to come out sort of firing all cylinders with a bit of a rocket up their arse. But Lebris doesn't really seem to me like a rocket up the arse type half-time team talker. I'm not sure exactly what he does, but we never really come out all guns blazing. Whereas the other team sometimes does, or more often than not does. And we just looked a bit lethargic coming out. It was just kind of a little bit more of the same. I'd love to know what he says at halftime, but it doesn't feel like it's particularly sort of inspirational.
Yeah, you'd like to think that up the intensity, no? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Because you got the crowd, the crowd's going to get behind. It's a new half, it's a new start.
Yep.
Get off on the front foot. But again, we saw it on against who did we play last weekend?
Cardiff.
Yes.
Cardiff.
Right. We saw it against them, didn't we? That after 56 minutes, he made the first 2 changes, and notice that last night, 59 minutes, he did the same thing again. Yeah. Mundle and Rigg came on after 59 minutes, so it's a positive that he's at least noticing that
100%. Yeah,
it's not working. So if it's not working in the first 10 minutes, I need to make changes. I need to do something. So anyway, Ian, I was very surprised when I saw Eliza's number go up. I thought that he shouldn't have been the one going off the pitch because I thought he was actually dangerous on the counter, looked like he could do something. If he's going to take a forward off, I thought Isidore was quite poor, and after that miss, I thought he would have been the one to go off. Or as you mentioned before, maybe it's Roberts off. I don't know. Were you surprised?
Well, I think the way that Mayenda's been playing the last 2 or 3 games, I think he should have stayed. Wilson's lost it to a certain extent. He wasn't doing a great lot last night. Okay, he runs about, he pulls the defence about, but Mayenda does that as well. As I say, I would have left them both on last night. I would have pulled Roberts for Chris Rigg. But then again, it's not my decision. Who knows how fit everybody is? I mean, this morning in the social media, RLB's been saying he took Mayenda off because he wanted to manage his fitness. He didn't want to tire him out. Okay, the lad's only 19-year-old. Still running about like a chicken with his head off. I don't know, that's a wrong. He's running about like a daft thing. You know, he's quick, he can get about. And he puts himself about as well. He's learned how to use his muscle.
Well,
Wilson, sometimes you just have to look at him wrong and he falls over.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think last night, Jody, I think Lebris decided to make that change because I don't remember in the 50th minute, Preston had a counter attack where they were like basically 2-on-1, I think. After it was from our corner, and
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 1-on-1 eventually, yeah, and the guy basically fluffed it, didn't he?
He spooned it, yeah.
So I think that was like a warning sign that listen, I think we need to make a change here, and it wasn't that long after that he did. But the Preston goal came on 65th minute. I mean, from that distance, you would expect us to at least close it down. No, I think, and like, don't let them shoot from, or don't let them get that close because I thought like we were quite deep at that point. So, I mean, Patterson, no blame attached. I think it was a very good finish right in the corner, but I think the defensive side could have been like closing down a bit more because that big lad, Reese, I think he was called. We were actually linked with him, weren't we, in January, I think, as well.
Yeah.
I don't think he was like the greatest centre forwards, but he caused us problems, didn't he, Ian?
Yeah, well, I mean, he did his job well. I mean, Danny Collins mentioned it many times. He actually liked Reach, you know, he said it himself. And he said, I mean, obviously Reece isn't a hell of a centre forward, otherwise he wouldn't be playing the Championship, he'd be playing the Premier. But he knows where the goal is and he doesn't give up. And he's great at hold-up player. Every ball that went up front, even if he had two players around him, stuck to him. And he waited until somebody came on and the ball was then distributed on. As for the goal, Danny alluded to it as well. Maybe Chris Meffin could have stepped out a couple of steps to try and block the shot instead of hanging about at the edge of the 18-yard box with his hands behind his back, hoping that the ball might bounce off him. You know, when the shot came in. As it happens, Meffin unfortunately lifted his right foot and the ball went underneath it and into the corner. And all that Chris Meffin managed to do was to block Patterson's side of it. I don't think Patterson would have got it anyway. It went in off the post. Patterson would have only got that if he'd been standing on the post.
Yeah.
That goal was preventable before the shot came.
Yeah, but it's just our luck, though, isn't it? It's just our luck that we look more like the team that's going to score, but in the end, we always get that sucker punch, don't we? Because you can just see it coming a mile off.
Well, I mean, it's the same old story. We seem to need a goal scored against us before we wake up and start to do something.
Yeah. Right then. I mean, to be fair, Jody, Preston, I was kind of impressed with him. I mean, everyone was going to say they were going to park the bus, but I don't think they did. I thought they kind of played. They wanted the result
for the first 80 minutes,
until the 80th minute or around the 82nd minute, Jody, when I got all hell broke loose with like one guy feigning a head injury, having 11 outfield players on the pitch, then one guy going down when he's made a sub. So it was a bit embarrassing and cringeworthy, wasn't it?
It was crazy. It was like some kind of like Robert Rodriguez film crossed with a pantomime. It was just I've never seen anything like. I mean, you always see a little bit of gamesmanship against us, but I've never seen anything like that. Nobody had a clue what was going on. Nobody had a clue. It was just, yeah, it was a joke. But the joke was on them eventually. So,
yeah. No, Ian, do you want to add anything to that? I'll give you the last word.
Do I? Are you joking? No, I don't want to say anything about that. What? I have never. I've been following Sunderland and following football for 67 years now. I mean, I'm 72. My uncle took us to Roker Park when I was 5, and that was it. That was me. I started thinking about football from the age of about 11 or 12 onwards, and I have never, ever seen anything like that anywhere. I've watched footy on telly from every corner of the world, and I've never seen anything like that. What the hell was the referee thinking of? Why didn't he just start ditching out yellow cards? Especially with them, we've got Stuart McCall on the line, and he's done this before. He winds people up. I mean, I think he's already had 3 yellow cards and a red card this season. He doesn't even play. He just stands on the line and makes his gob go. Why were all those people on the pitch? The only player's supposed to go on the pitch, and if somebody's injured, the trainer comes on, and that's it. Why, if somebody falls down 2 yards away from the line, does the referee insist that he gets off the pitch to be treated? And why is the referee standing around thinking, oh, I wonder what I should do here? He should never be allowed anywhere near a football pitch again. And he's supposed to be a Premier League ref.
I mean, he did lose it completely. He completely lost the plot.
He didn't have a
zoned out. But it's a real odd tactic from their point of view, because it's not like there were 3 minutes left. There was plenty of time left, and they added 9 minutes.
Yeah.
I can understand a bit of gamesmanship, taking a little bit of time when you're in the 90th minute, to take a free kick or a throw in, or, just a little bit. But that was amateur hour from them and from the referee.
Yeah. I don't know, Jody, do you think there should be kind of like retrospective action after the match? Like if a person, because obviously the player who went off the pitch was the guy who apparently feigned a head injury from 2009. Yeah. Basically, well, it didn't even hit him in his head, it hit him on his chest, but then he moved his hands to his head, and then everyone's saying like it's his head, and the referee stops it. Do you not think that should be kind of like retrospectively punished when they look at the field and they say, listen, this guy...
I don't know how you retrospectively punish that, because a lot of it you can't really prove, and it was just a little bit silly, and it's the referee's job to keep a lid on things and keep the game flowing, and he literally just zoned out for like 7 or 8 minutes. There was no one in charge of anything that was going on that pitch. I don't think there's any point in retrospectively doing it, but the referee probably needs a good talking to on don't ever let that happen again. That's an embarrassment to football.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's all we're going to say about that.
Yep, done.
Right then. Ian, a minute later, a bit of egg in their face, because Romaine Mundle took a chance and it went in the top corner, probably goal of the season. And it got the fans going, didn't it? And it gave us that hope when we got the 9 minutes on the board to go up for the winner.
Yeah. When Romaine got it, I thought, well, what's he going to do now? Because we have players in the box, but they're all well marked. And I honestly didn't think he was capable of doing a Patrick Roberts, to tell you the truth. I mean, he has done it, but to put that in the top bin from where he was, I mean, incredible. That's his goal of the season, if it's not Sunderland's goal of the season. It would have been a lot better if it would have been the winner. I mean, the stadium would have just exploded if that had been making it 2-1. As I say, great goal, but unfortunately we huffed and we puffed and we still didn't manage to blow the bloody house down.
Yeah.
It's difficult to know how the hell we're going to get through it. I mean, we're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just a question of who we're going to play in the semis. And who will play in the final depends what the result's going to be of the other semis. I only hope it's not going to be Coventry in the semis, because we'll not even get to Wembley then.
Oh, don't be saying that, Ian. Anyway, listen, Jody, I mean, when the shot left Mundle's foot, I was like Ian, he's swearing in German and in English at the TV. I was swearing in Spanish and English at the TV, because the way it kind of, it went up, for me, it just looked as if it was going to go over the bar. Then suddenly it just dipped.
Yeah.
And my anger turned to jubilation. So I don't know. Lebris's comments on Mundle's introduction was, we needed creativity, we needed something different. It's not always a question of patterns. We need that. It's all about taking responsibility in the final third. We have these kinds of players in the squad, and today it was Romaine. What do you make about those comments?
I think he knows that sometimes, you know, it's not all just about the tactics. And we've relied on it quite a bit, but you need just that one player who can have that just moment of magic, and that's what Romaine Mundle can do. That's what Tommy Watson can do when he's had a bit more of a run in the team. That's what the Fee can do. That's what Wilson can do, even if he does fall over a lot. And sometimes that's what you need. I just think it's a little bit of a shame that we rely a little bit too much on something like that happening, as opposed to getting success from those patterns of play, which is something that we used to do. You know, I love Tony Mowbray. He wasn't the most tactical minded manager. He often used to just get people to go out and, you know, go on, Jack Clark, do your thing. Yeah. But under him, we had these like amazing patterns of play. Remember that goal against Reading away?
Yeah.
That type of thing. But we did things like that quite a bit. This season, we haven't really seen much of that, even though I think we've got players who are more capable of doing things like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should have to rely on what the brief said, which is effectively a moment of magic. These patterns of play, this is what you practice day in, day out on the training pitch. Mm-hmm. These should be working. If they're not, try something different, but practice them. And I just think it hasn't quite clicked this season. I can't remember many times where we've had that like pass, cross goal.
Yeah,
I think that's what we're missing. So what Lebris said there, I get it, but sort those patterns of play out, because that's what we're missing, and that's what, if it does come to it, might stop us from winning the playoffs. Yeah. We need that.
No, I think
that needs to be drilled.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's all about urgency as well, like how fast we do it.
Yeah.
And the press that we do, because the press, they were saying last night, Danny Collins was saying, like, if we're pressing, yeah, but it needs to be collective. You can't just have one person pressing, because they'll play around you.
Around it. Yeah.
Exactly. So Ian, go on a minute, yeah.
Saving grace in the I'm saying if we get the playoffs, we will have to fall apart seriously not to get in the playoffs. One, our saving grace could well be Enzo Lefebvre. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I think it will bring us urgency, it will bring us accuracy, and people like Isidore, people like Mayenda will feed off that. And I can see us doing things with him.
Hey, listen, mate, I don't care if it's Enzo Lefebvre or Jaden Dans if he ever gets his ass into the game and comes onto the pitch.
I don't think we'll
so hold your breath for that one.
Anyway, Ian, the other comments from Lebris, these were his post-match comments. We started well, we created chances, enough to score, but not effective enough. We struggled to find the right balance in midfield, the new setup 4-4-2. He liked the reaction at the end. Not easy to find the solution with the low block when Preston scored. What do you make of those?
Well, it's more or less right, you know. But I mean, if it's a problem, it's up to him to sort it out. I mean, that's what he's there for. Mm-hmm. You know, going back to him saying why he brought Mundle on. Why wasn't Mundle on from the start? Goes back to what we were talking about some time ago. I would have put Mundle on from the start, because he is capable of doing something like he did last night, but he's also capable of beating players and getting crosses in for the likes of Mayenda and Isidore to put away, hopefully, as long as it's not on Isidore's head. But I don't know. Lebris, his after-match interview, sometimes I think, well, haven't you been saying that for the last 3 weeks?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just nothing different.
It's like the point before when I made earlier, Jody, about like either take one of Neil or Job off, because he says like we need to find the solutions. We're not finding the solutions. We're finding it difficult. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, you've got Milan Alexic now. Okay, listen, he's not ready to start. Absolutely not. But if you need a goal in the last 20 minutes, and he's come on and he's got a lot of energy. He might not be like a world beater, but he's already shown that he can.
Yeah.
He likes to get forward. He likes to run with the ball, and he can score a goal. He can get his head on the ball, and I think that with the position that we're in now, that we're pretty much guaranteed the playoffs. Could we not just go for it?
Maybe. I mean, I saw Alexic play for the Rezzies. I can't remember who it was against, maybe a couple of months ago. And it was him and Abdullahi, and both of them just looked absolutely a cut above the rest. And I saw that, and he was back in the team, or he's back on the bench the week after. I'm like, okay, maybe he's going to get a little bit more game time, but he just doesn't seem to get any game time. And yeah, he is a bit like a headless chicken, but he's really direct. And he's got something different. I don't think he's put him on for 20 minutes. I think he's put him on for the last 5-10 minutes. He could be a liability. There's obviously some reason why he's not playing him. But that type of player would be great. I just don't know whether he's ready, or I don't know. Lebris has obviously got some reason why he's not bringing him on, because when I saw him play for the Rezzies, I'm like, this kid's good. I mean, he destroyed whoever were playing. I can't remember who it was. So, yeah.
Would you have brought him on for Bellingham or for Neil last night, Lee?
For one of them, yeah. For the last 10 minutes, I think we needed that bit of spark or energy. Being he's got that, he can get forward, he can make runs. He scored a good goal against Stoke in the FA Cup, and I think that we needed that kind of, because Lebris said like we needed creativity, we needed something different, and I think that he's got that little bit something not massively different, but I think he's a bit. We needed energy, I think, in that last period.
He's definitely got energy.
And I just think that with us playing Rig and Job, I just think that we are a bit slow.
Last night, I mean, the last 15 minutes, including the added time, afterwards scored the goal. Preston just didn't threaten at all. Apart from the very last minute, they got up the pitch, and that was the end of the game. Maybe you got a point if Alexis should come on for Neil, who wasn't having a particularly good game. You would have to have dropped Job back just in case, and put Alexis up a bit. Might have brought a bit of urgency in there, but I mean, it's all speculation. It didn't happen at all. Well,
I think that's a bit of a risk personally, and I don't think Lebris is much of a risk taker. I think
not at all.
Taking off your sort of two central pairing midfielders and putting on someone as exciting but erratic as Alexic, when you're drawing ones each and you haven't really destroyed the other team or anything like that, it's a fairly evenish game. I just think that's a risk that Lebris just won't do.
Yeah. Even though it could pay off, it might not pay off, but still, it won't massively hamper us if we're just trying for the playoffs.
I think the important thing though is, I mean, the results. Everyone drew. Sheffield United drew last minute goal, and Burnley drew as well. A win would have possibly got us back into the conversation about an automatic.
It was a missed opportunity last night. It was a
missed opportunity. So we're not going to. A loss wouldn't have been disastrous. A win would have been pretty special, actually. So that was not knowing what was happening elsewhere, and they will know what the other results are. That might have been a good opportunity just to really roll the dice and just do something to try and get an extra 2 points on the teams that had already dropped points.
Well, at the end,
all that's nice doing is giving us one game less to catch everybody up.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And he only made 2 subs last night. You know what I mean? So I think that there was a chance to bring a few more fresh legs on. But anyway, Ian, we're going to go with Mundle's comments after the match. He said that when he came on, his first thought was that he wanted to take risks. Sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't, which I think is nice to hear from a winger that they want to try and do something. He said he was. Yeah. He said he was quite happy with the point in the end. The main thing is just the team getting the results every game. Is it that? Is it the team getting results every game, or does it matter the way we get results?
I don't give a shit if we play bloody awful. As long as we win 1-0 with the ball bouncing off somebody's arse and crawling over the line.
Right.
We're getting to the stage of the season where we need points. We don't necessarily need wonderful performances. We had plenty of them at the beginning of the season. It would have been great if we'd have continued that throughout the season. It's not. It was never going to happen. We're going to run out of steam somewhere along the line, which we have done.
But do we need performances, Ian? Sorry, Ian. Do we need performances though? Because it looks like we are heading towards the playoff, and from past seasons gone by, that teams with momentum playing well usually have a better chance. And we saw that with us when we went to League One against Charlton. You know what I mean? We kind of like fell off the horse, didn't we? Then with Jack Ross, and then we struggled against Charlton. For me, it's like scary similarities to that season that are kind of creeping in for me.
Yeah, I mean, we're not exactly. Well, we're getting points, and that's the main thing. We're not playing well, but if you're playing badly and still getting points, you can't argue with it. And when we get to the playoffs, we've got 3 games to get the job done, and I think that we are capable of doing that. They will start tearing their asses out to do that. Until then, I'm not saying the conservative energy, but they're not running through brick walls anymore. They're maybe jumping over them, you know, if you know what I mean, to use that sort of simile. Let's wait till we get the playoffs and go.
Well, I don't think any of the other teams are particularly pulling up trees either. The other playoff teams, are they? You know, there's everyone's winning one, drawing one, losing. You know, there's that whole sort of, you know, second, maybe not second, maybe third to like 7th or 8th. I don't know if it goes down as low as 8th, but everyone's kind of, they're okay at the moment. You know, they're winning a few, they're losing a few. They're not getting 2 points per game on average. So
Coventry put a good run together, but I mean, they lost last night. We might possibly beat them on Saturday because we always play better away than we do at home.
We do.
They could be. They might not even stay in the playoff situation. Bristol City is starting to come now. Bristol City managed to draw with Sheffield United last night.
Yeah,
it's all of a mishmash, sort of underwood behind us. From fifth down to about 9th.
Yeah, it is very tight there.
Changing, and I suspect that Tony Mowbray might actually do something with West Brom. I think he'll go to the final of the playoffs. I hope he doesn't play us in the semis, mate.
Yeah, hope not. But anyway, to finish off on Mundle's comments. Go on, Jody.
I was just going to say Josh Madger and Tony Mowbray.
Oh, my God.
That's going to come back to haunt us, isn't it?
Fingers crossed it doesn't. But anyway, Mundle's final comments then leading to the Coventry game was, we've reacted well since the Hull defeat, which, to be fair, he's right. We've got 7 points from 9. It's just that you look on paper, Hull, Chef Wednesday, Cardiff, and it was last night against Preston. You're thinking, like, we need to take 9 points from those. And we've been saying that we need a break, and last night was a break because the 2 teams above us got a draw, and we could have closed the gap. So, but listen, 7 out of 9 is a very good return. Preston, and then he says the next game versus Coventry, we'll set up how the manager wants us to set up, and we'll see how it pans out. Was his final comment, Jody. So, what do you make of that? How do you think we'll approach Coventry on Saturday?
I think Coventry, as you were saying before, they've been on a good run up until last night. They're a good side. I can't remember in my lifetime many decent performances against Coventry. So it's going to be a hard game. They are our bogey team, really, aren't they? So I think we're going to set up the way we always set up. We're going to come out not all guns blazing. We're probably going to come out a little bit more conservative than I like and try and keep it tight to start off with. But I'd like to see us just go for it. I'd like to see us really come out all guns blazing. Same in the second half if we've had a poor first half. But let's not start the game against Coventry the way we started against Preston, which was this sort of damp squib. Let's really go out there and go for them and scare the shit out of them for a little bit, because we've got that ability, we've got that pace, we've got that directness if we have the balls to use it. And I don't think we've kind of had the balls to use it enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and Ian, Coventry, they lost last night, obviously, against Derby. They'll be looking to bounce back against a possible playoff rival, won't they? Especially at home on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. As Jody said, I can't remember us ever beating Coventry. I mean, I still get nightmares about our 5-4 at the Stadium of Light 4 years ago.
About that.
How the hell that happened is beyond me, you know. It's always Coventry bloody City. This is going back to '77 when they got relegated. Since then, they've been my most hated team, and we've never done anything against. Okay, the odd 1-0 or 2-1 here and there, which hopefully will happen on Saturday. You never know what sort of team he's going to turn out. All I can say is Patterson will be in goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. God knows.
Bold prediction there, mate. Well done.
It's the only thing that's guaranteed. Right then, we'll round off then with a prediction. Ian, what's your prediction?
Would love us to win 2-1. I hope it'll be ones apiece, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got beat.
Yeah.
But we won't get hammered. Famous last words.
Yeah, Jesus, if we do, I'm coming to Germany to get you. Jody, what about your predictions, mate?
Well, I would probably predict it the same, but let's I'm in the land of like over enthusiastic people. Let's go 3-0. Never gonna happen. Let's go 3-0 though.
3-0, love it. Yeah.
We need a proper performance. It's probably not going to come against Coventry, but hey, let's give it a go. Let's be optimistic. Let's be a Yankee American happy clapper. 3-0.
Well, it might happen. Coventry might get the shits and they might have to forfeit the match, so 3-0 will do nicely.
There you go.
I'm gonna go for 0-0 ball draw. I just think, but anyway, listen. Very thanks for your time tonight, gents. We've done a long one tonight. Just to let you know that Leeds are winning 1-0 at half time against Millwall, so they would be up to 79 points, I think it would be. Yeah, so they'd be first. Sheffield United would be second with 77, Burnley 75, and us 6 behind on 69, which is basically what we finished on in the first season, right? In the Championship, I think, to get in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we've equaled that total, and there's still, 9 games to go, I think. So we'll see how it goes. Right, so on to Saturday. How are the lads? Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, fellas, and thanks for coming on.
Cheers, Lee, no problem.
Thank you.